3. Influence on your money with Money FM 89.3.
You're on Influence with me, Michelle Martin, the show that encourages you to meet movers and shakers all over the world. Today, I'm taking you to the FutureGrail Watch Museum. It actually opens really soon here in Singapore, and we'll be hosting the world's first online fractionalized auction of high-end watches. They'll also offer tax-free storage vaults. This museum is not only going to help collectors build investment-grade collections, it's going to allow members of public to browse a rare collection of over 200 historical pieces, some dating back to the 1800s. Future Grail was started by well-known watch collector and investor Ali Nael, who serves as CEO, and we're going to get to know him today on Influence. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. In case you're just listening to us and you'd like to watch Ali in action, now's the time to log on to any one of those social media platforms. Good morning, Ali Nael.
Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for having me this morning.
It's really great to meet you. I want to give listeners a little sense of who you are. I know you came to Singapore back in 2010, and besides an oil trading business, you've also started numerous other businesses. You're originally from Beirut. Would you describe yourself as a self-made man?
Of course, by all means, by all understanding. I started actually from nothing in China in 2003, and this is how I established myself. If you want to know the story, I can say a little bit, but I think everyone knows that I started 20 years ago in China, doing an export market, and opened an office in 2006 in Kuala Lumpur, where I did my first oil trading deal. And then 2010, I moved to Singapore to establish my company here as the head office.
So let me back up just a little bit. What brought you from Beirut to China?
Well, it was by luck. I was going to vacation in Macau, but I decided to actually stay, and I started learning about trading, about export market in China, and do some research. And I decided to basically just stay and try, my very best to build an export business, to countries where I had some friends that can open doors for me. And this is how I kickstarted, basically by mistake.
Oh, love that. Serendipity. So that first export business, were you passionate in what was being exported?
Not necessary, but I think I had a very clear goal that I wanted to establish. I wanted to build knowledge in the products I was exporting at that time from China.
Which were?
So I made sure, actually everything from construction material to sanitary wares to electrical appliances. Actually, slowly we grew to different products, and then we opened different departments to handle these flows to West Africa and the Middle East. And this is how I started. But 2006, I managed to deliver the first oil cargo to China, and I fell in love with that business. And I decided Kuala Lumpur was a perfect place for me to establish an office. So I left the China office open, of course, for like almost 19 years. But I moved to Kuala Lumpur. I think it was a more friendly city for me as well to establish myself.
We're always fascinated by people's experiences across the world. Tell us, did your early experience growing up in Beirut contribute to the businesses that you would start later in life?
Definitely. I think I thank my father at probably the age 14, 15. He had a serious talk, with us. He said his business was faltering. Can you work on summertime? So we decided actually around that age to work in summertime in our free time. And that, experience, gave me, the confidence, to talk to people, to share my passion, to do a good job and earn my own money at the early age. And I think without that base, without that time, I don't think I'm where I am today. But of course, I also thank China, because you learn the hard way there. If you're new to business and you still have things to learn, I think I was fortunate enough to make all my mistakes at a very early age, in the early 20s. That put in me, principles and procedures to help me, in the future not to make the similar mistakes. So I guess the early age experience at 14, 15 and the early 20s in China, I think made me and made my personality.
In case you've just joined us, this is Influence here on Money FM 89.3. We're getting to know watch collector and investor Ali Nael, who is opening a watch museum here in Singapore in the next couple of days. It's called FutureGrail Watch Museum. He's a very well-known watch collector himself, and we'll get into his passion in just a while. But for now, we're getting to know the man, and you can log on live, of course, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and watch Ali in action during this interview. Ali, share with us, the key milestones you mentioned, being 14, sitting down to a serious discussion with your dad about business. What are the other milestones you'd say in your career?
I think the decision to move to Kuala Lumpur in 2006 to start an oil trading business. I think also the ability at that time to gain like an exclusive contracts with two international big oil companies to represent them in Asia. That opened, of course, the opportunity for me. So that's a huge, I think, highlight of my career. But also, I think one of the best decisions I made in my life was to move to Singapore in 2010. The best place to to focus on business and remove all distractions. So it's a city where I believe work ethics is extremely high, and from the places that I moved from China and Kuala Lumpur, I think it was quite an impressive upgrade in the pace and the speed that I needed to work in. I needed to have a fast-paced city that can cope with my own pace.
Sounding very much like the go-getter that Singapore is filled with. Tell us,
Exactly.
a lot of people listening in are entrepreneurs themselves or founders of startups. What have been your biggest entrepreneurial lessons?
I think to set a goal and put steps. I think 20 years ago, I think I met a lot of fascinating people. In Macau, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, etc. That gave me principles. In investing, in doing business. So that also helped me. Like at the early age, I said I don't want to deal with luck. I can make my own luck, so I need to work for it and study and learn about the trade that I'm doing, to earn a market share over time and build a reputation. Small words 20 years ago when I was just a teenager, basically in my early 20s, like your name is everything, your word is gold, these kind of things. Very simple stuff, but actually made a huge impact on me. So I decided that I remove all distractions. I focus on business. I focus on building a great name, a reputable name for myself in every trade that I do.
Burnish your reputation. Fantastic. You're well known as a specialist collector of Patek Philippe watches, in particular vintage timepieces. And you wrote about your passion in a book entitled My Dream Collection that was out in 2019. Help us understand when and how you find yourself interested in collecting timepieces.
It was 13 years ago, actually, here in Singapore. I met, a specialist, that gave me an insight of how the market works. So I started building, a collection of modern pieces and independent watchmakers that used to come to Singapore and present their watches as the base, for Asia, or the start for Asia market. And that from there, I start to fall in love with these pieces. I found refuge, in my stressful life, in watches, but also I saw them as a tangible asset, as an investment. So I was very, very interested to park my money into, an asset I can enjoy. I think the combination of passion, love, and an investment value put me on that journey.
There's history involved, an understanding of where the watch has been, and of course, there's beauty as well in appreciating this timepieces. Can you talk us through a significant piece that you have decided to add to your collection?
Oof, this is a tough question. I think we always say we have our own grail, and I think the future grail name, come from also from the deep of our principles. All our businesses are for collectors, by collectors. This is our slogan. And
Mm.
watches usually, you think you already got there, but there's a lot of fascinating discoveries that we come across every now and then. Of course, it's becoming much rarer today for the private market or the auction market to discover new, very significant, important pieces. But of course, pieces that disappeared from the market 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they come back suddenly to the market, for various reasons. But they've not been in the market for decades, so it's an opportunity for us to always add to the collection, advise our clients and members to to acquire these pieces, and that we are on a quest, to ensure that collectors know exactly what they're doing. But if I highlight significant pieces, I think the first serious piece that I wanted to have, over a decade ago was a 3974 minute repeater. With the case is made by Patek Philippe, but the case is made by Mr. Hagman, whom I met a few times and have immense respect to. So it was my first dream watch. My second dream watch was a 1518, which was also very difficult to acquire in a good original condition. But as 10 years forward, doing vintage watches, of course, now I want pocket watches, I want pieces of art, very special movements, because I started to know these pieces much better, know the complications. I started to know the watchmakers of the 1800s, of the 1900s, early 1900s, that made significant contributions and hundreds and thousands of patents, that actually brought the watchmaking to what is it today. So I started to understand these obscure and not well known, only in small circles in watchmaking world. They're known. So I started to understand these things, and we are on a quest to share this information also with our collectors.
Fascinating. I understand that for you, investment and acquisition is not a primary motivation for building a collection. So help us understand what motivates collectors like yourself.
I think really is the passion is the first. We really wake up in the morning thinking about watches, sleep thinking about watches. Find it hard to find even our kids on the phone. It's all watches. So we're very serious about what we do. Actually, we're dedicating our life to it. It's more than just a job for us. It's a complete absolute dedication, to the watches business, to the collecting community, but also to be on a quest, to solve a lot of issues in the market, watch market, that we want to bridge, that gap, and we want to let collectors enjoy the hobby rather than worrying about many stuff along the way. So we're more than just creating businesses or creating value. We're also creating a path, a clear path for collectors.
You've had roots in many parts of the world. You mentioned China, Kuala Lumpur. So why start a watch museum here in Singapore? And why also, it sounds like a very exclusive world of collectors, why make this museum open its doors to the public?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we cannot keep these collections to ourselves. This is a complete dedication. It's a decade in the making. I don't think it's psychologically good for me to keep them in boxes. I think it's important to showcase them, to learn about every single piece more than what we know about today. And to give an opportunity for the community to explore, another segment in the market. I think it's an educational quest, to make sure that collectors can come, whether they're new collectors or seasoned collectors, they come and appreciate the journey of 200 years of watchmaking. I think that brings an immense value, to the market and to collectors in town and people passing by here. And I think it's a great thing for Singapore also to be the first a private watch museum in Asia as well, or in our part of the world.
We're diving deeper into FutureGrail, a private watch museum that will open its doors in a couple of days here in Singapore. Ali, why offer fractionalized auctions? Can you give us a sense of how big this market is?
I think people that deal with us for many years, they know that we are solving every business we do. We are solving a gap in the market, solving an issue in the market. I think you highlighted that the collection is displayed in a museum setup. We also want to extend this to collectors to have their own deposit boxes controlled by Malka Amit, our security partner. To be able to deposit their watches, consolidate them from different cities. Because most of the people living in Singapore are actually international. And then we will take care of their collections. We will document them, make descriptions for it. That's why also Mr. Arnaud Tullier joined us. He's, of course, the ex-director and curator of the Patek Philippe Museum in Geneva, and he's actually one of the first employees to establish the museum. So we're very pleased to have him on the team, also to provide expertise to our clients. So if you can manage your collections in a safe zone, we can also go the extra steps to help you liquidate this collection in the future. And fractionalization give us an opportunity to do that and approach a bigger crowd. Because in auctions as well as a problem we face today in the big four auctions, let's say, where very high valued items in the millions come into auction, it's usually reserved, the bidding is reserved for the selected few in the world. Actually, you can count them on one hand or two hands, that are having the ability to bid on the millions of dollars to acquire one piece. So we foresee in the future that the market should change. Watch market has been traditional for the longest time. We're talking about hundreds of years, exactly the same way is being done. So we foresee the blockchain as an opportunity for us to marry the new technology with the physical assets and provide a value to the market. And fractionalizations facilitate this for very high valued items. And we would like collectors, new collectors as well, to be able to acquire a piece of very, very important and significant pieces, because they usually, don't come back in the market until 20 years, 30 years, So it's a very rare opportunity sometimes to acquire these extremely rare pieces, and we would like more collectors to be able to participate. So we
This
are
is fascinating.
eliminating the barrier
Yeah.
of entry.
This is the intersection of technology and high-end watches, and also, the investment world comes into play. So, what exactly do winners of these fractionalized auctions own? Do they essentially own a piece of the right? Do they essentially own an NFT that can then be traded?
Correct. So basically, it depends on the number of fraction for a specific watch. The different owners, let's say 10 owners total for a specific very high valued item, will have their prorated share in the watch, in the physical watch, which is deposited in FutureGrail. They can come anytime, see the watch, enjoy it in the facility, but they cannot actually take it out unless they own it. So this also makes sure that we can govern the piece and take complete custodian and facilitate it to the collectors. So they can enjoy it in the facility, and they will own their NFT share. So they can travel the world with their full collateral, with the 3D scan of their watch, with the full description, the paperwork, and the study of these watches. And they will have it, on their phone anytime they want to prove that they're the owner. And that also provide a fast pace for people to trade, to exchange ownership, and facilitate this barrier that exists today in the market. And we are on a quest to, embrace people that has been priced out of the market in the past.
So the blockchain is very much a part of the
It's a
whole
proof,
equation
yeah,
to
it's a
allow
proof of
this to
ownership.
happen.
It's a
And
proof of ownership.
for proof of ownership, yes. And in terms of the currency that you will accept, you're also accepting cryptocurrency for
Correct.
the fractionalized auctions and for the purchase of the watches in general?
Correct. So we will have, of course, online auctions, and we'll have fractionalized auctions, and you will have the ability, of course, if you pass the KYC, everything we do is MAS regulated, and everything is by Singapore regulation. So we'll have to KYC the clients, of course, paying in cryptocurrency as well. But we allow both on-chain and off-chain payments.
Absolutely fascinating. Have you decided what sort of cryptocurrencies you're going to accept and what you're not?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, stable coins will be able to accept.
Absolutely fabulous. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to get to know you, Ali. And we look forward to walking through and experiencing FutureGrail in person. When does the museum
Yeah.
open its doors to the public?
At 26 for a closed event, but 27, 28, please go online and book your slot. For 27th and 28th is open to public. There's still some slots available, so you go online and then you book it, and we're looking forward to welcome you.
Thank you so much. Ali Nael, there, CEO of FutureGrail. This is Money FM 89.3.
Money FM 89.3 salutes an icon.
That was great. Thank you so much.